Hello, welcome to this special edition of the VGC Podcast, live from here in Tokyo, Japan, on our super hot hotel rooftop.
Editing Jordan here. Yes, Andy is out of frame. It fixes itself in a few minutes. Thank you, and enjoy the podcast.
I'm joined by RPG site and Eurogamer's Alex Donaldson.
Hello.
How are you doing?
It's hot as balls.
Yeah, you look hot.
And well, you came down. I'd been sat here already for a while, so I'm a little bit sweaty.
Well, as someone who was here a month ago in the peak humidity of Japanese summer, this is fine.
This is nice heat, actually. This is like...
This is like on holiday in Spain.
That's exactly what I was about to say.
Yeah.
This is you're on holiday in Spain and you would sit out all day in this, have a couple of margaritas. And indeed, that might be some of the plan for today. I mean, there's some shows to do, there's some work to do.
Yeah. So that you come. I mean, this is only my second Tokyo Game Show.
Yeah.
You come more often than me.
Well, I used to come all the time. I used to come every year, sort of pre-COVID, and it got progressively worse every year. And so then after COVID, I knocked it on the head. So I hadn't been since before COVID. And the big shocker coming back to this is that it's an amazing show.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing.
It properly feels... There's two things. One, it feels like Japan is back, which we all knew. But not just in the sense of Capcom being good, or Sega being good, or Konami being good, or Square Enix being not great, but okay. But also in the sense of, like, it's a really strong international presence here. There's a lot of Chinese devs showing off stuff, a lot of, devs that are getting a lot of that Middle East money showing up here. Like, people want to be seen here, want to be doing business here. I was quite impressed. I was texting a friend of the show, Christopher Drink, because I was saying to him, I was fascinated by the fact that France, Spain and Germany all had like national stands on the show floor. And if you saw those, and I was like, well, what the fuck is Yuki playing at that we don't have a UK one?
Yeah.
But like they had stands with their shows in indies from all those countries, which just sort of shows this outreach element. So yeah, I was really impressed by the show floor. Immediately, there's a lot of mobile stuff, a lot of gacha.
I mean, I came here in 2019. Was the only time I've done Tokyo Game Show, and it felt like an event past its prime.
Yes.
I think there was like PlayStation had like a sad booth. I think they had Neo 2 from memory.
Sounds about right.
I think Capcom had like a sort of Resident Evil shooting experience for their really bad multiplayer game.
Oh, Umbrella Corps.
Yeah. I think... I was
going to tell a story about that game.
Square Enix had a booth, and then that was, I think Cyberpunk was there, and I don't even think they were in all the halls. Like,
no.
There was sort of like, it felt like E3 at the end, you know, where the space wasn't filled, not all the big players were there. What a transformation coming back 6 years later.
The only absence really is Xbox.
It feels like, I mean, if you kind of dropped a time traveller here, you could be in the pomp, the golden era of Japanese games.
You could and you couldn't, in the sense that I think that's the sense you get walking around it is that the golden age of, when I think of the golden age TGS, I'm thinking of that PS3 era, and Square Enix would have their famous closed mega theatre, where that was something that even media had to queue up for and go in, and they would show you 2 or 3 trailers that weren't ever going to be released online, and that was where you'd get your trailers for Final Fantasy Versus 13. You go in with your notepad and try to scroll down what fucking happened.
Of course, but we're digging through the weeds.
Oh yeah, but
as a man walking through the show, Capcom's booth is humongous.
Yes.
Konami's booth is really humongous.
Yeah.
Who would not have even been here in big fashion 5-6 years ago. Sega's is absolutely huge. PlayStation's is absolutely huge. I'm sure I'm missing out a whole bunch of companies. There are like
Annapurna's got a really big stage, and Red June Games, they've got a huge presence. NetEase's got a big presence, and so even Micropose has a stand. So yeah, no, you are right.
It does feel in that sense that we are, kind of pushing the golden era narrative. A lot of the conversations I've had here are how, certainly in the AAA console space, the Western publishers feel like they're on fire at the moment. It's constant grim news. And I know they suffer from a lot of the same issues here, particularly with the yen being quite weak. They're in a kind of cost of living crisis, like a lot of kind of countries are right now. But you just look at critically, Commercially, the games that come out every year from Sega, from Nintendo, from Capcom, that dominate the award scene.
I guess when we're talking about the show, I guess the thing that's different from the Golden Age is TGS used to be a place for reveals. So you've got the quality of the content, perhaps in terms of the reveals, it isn't what it was, and that's the difference. But also that's true of Summer Games Fest, that's true of Gamescom. So it's pretty much a truism across the board that companies are less interested in revealing stuff at shows. I mean, everyone hyped themselves up for Resident Evil 9 reveal. Everyone, Dusk Golem, our dear friend, was saying that the Leon reveal was going to be here, and it wasn't. So people are hyping themselves up for those sort of reveals.
Even Forza Horizon. So it was the most open secret on Earth that game was in development, and it was going to be set in Japan.
Yes.
And we got a trailer that basically just revealed that information. It's one of those meetings that could have been an email.
I posted on Blue Sky and I said about the Xbox showcase. The way these publishers work, obviously they have debriefs, they look at the reaction and they talk about where they think they went right, wrong, whatever. And I said, someone at Xbox is going to say, as part of this, if only Forza hadn't have leaked, we would have had the sense of surprise and it would have been a good show. I'm here to say right now, it would not have been a good fucking show if that was the trailer they were offering, even if that had come out as a bolt from the blue. So yeah, I mean, I'm excited for that, but I am baffled by there's some funny old decisions, like that's in Tokyo, so we're going to reveal it at Tokyo, except we're going to have no presence at the show other than a couple of ads for
it feels like their third party team's obligation to even be here, right? That they're looking after some
although I
hear
that like Phil's out here and stuff like that, so obviously out here wheeling dealing, but it just felt bizarre to me. The other one I laughed at, by the way, is it's probably not deliberate, but obviously IO Interactive had as part of the Xbox show character reveal for Bond, and I did laugh. It's just one of those things that's like, was this in the marketing plan? Was that what they were going for? They were like, we're going to reveal the Asian character at TGS.
Oh my god.
I don't know if
they do that, I've not seen it.
Yeah, Gemma Chan, who obviously is British to be fair, but Gemma Chan is in the game, which is cool because she's brilliant, and she's a big star, maybe if Eternals had done better, she wouldn't be signing on for video games, but yeah, so they revealed that. Those are probably the two biggest. Well, for me, those are probably the two biggest announcements at Xbox. Obviously, had some late ports. Capcom's bringing the first two Monster Hunter Stories games out to Xbox, things like that. But that stream felt like an obligation.
Yeah.
I think we should have a jump cut and get a beer.
You want to get a beer?
Yeah.
All right, let's cut and get a beer.
5 o'clock
We'll be
somewhere.
back with a beer. Welcome back. For those watching on video, hopefully now I'm actually in frame. Sorry about that.
I did say to Andy before we started.
You did say.
I said you need to be closer. He said I don't want to be too close. I said we're
a
not
man
going to kiss.
who does words trying to make some YouTube videos.
You're not Jordan Midler. You've got a lot more hair for a
I'm
start.
definitely not Jordan Miller, and Jordan Miller is definitely not Andy Robinson. What were we talking about? Japanese games. So what did you see? Obviously this is day 2. So there's still kind of some stuff to pick up. But what did you see on your first day?
Did all the Capcom stuff. Poked my head into Sega. Saw Annapurna Interactive and saw Red Dune Games, which is a newish. Well, they're not new, but
well, let's start off with Capcom. What did you think of Resident Evil on Switch 2? It looks nice,
look,
right?
I'm not surprised. The RE engine scales really well. I think people's feelings and thoughts about the RE engine have been damaged by the bad Monster Hunter performance. Whereas the truth is, that is an engine that is really good, really tight, performs really well, and scales really well, as long as it's not doing crazy open world stuff, which it's not doing in Resident Evil. So it doesn't surprise me at all that those games are going to scale really well. It's just like the lighting's a little bit worse, the hair's a little bit worse, but who cares?
I think the trailer made it look a lot worse than it actually is.
Well, also,
I liked how
frank.
Yeah, of course. I like how transparent that was. How they could have been more flashy, but the reality is that those cutscenes are not flattering to the actual gameplay experience, right? Because you're playing mostly in the dark, in first person, and that lends itself well to a game that can be scaled down, right?
Yeah.
You can, kind of lower the quality of the geometry or the textures and stuff, and when the lighting is kind of use that effectively, you won't really notice the difference. I thought it was great, and there's definitely no issue with RE Engine, right?
It scales well, and you've got that continued Capcom success story playing out here. So Resident Evil, RE Engine, really good. Monster Hunter Stories, the last 2 games were MT Framework games. This is the first Monster Hunter Stories game that's a RE Engine game.
It looks really pretty, doesn't it?
It looks like I hate to use this bullshit terminology, but it looks more in that. It's not, but it looks more in that AAA JRPG sort of zone. It looks like something like a Tales of, or what have you. It's still more traditional in how it plays. In the battles of that more stilted, more heavily segmented style of turn-based combat that you get in a Dragon Quest, as opposed to the sort of stuff you get out of Tales or Final Fantasy. But yeah, it looks really beautiful. So you've got that continued shift of all the Capcom IP coming over into RE Engine and the benefits that's given them all.
Let's talk about Pragmata, which is my big favourite from Summer Game Fest. And a lot of people were quite down on my kind of reaction to that. Really? Is that was one of your favourite games of the show? I think that game is going to be a real sleeper hit.
Yeah, I mean, my feeling on it is...
And we got to see a little bit more of the actual game here, didn't we? This was a portion of the full game, whereas previously it was more of a curated demo experience. We got to see what the actual gameplay loops were like.
I'm baffled by how they've shown it, if I'm being honest, in the sense that what they've done is they made a very specific demo for E3 that basically stripped out a bunch of core mechanics, stripped stuff right back, reduced the number of enemies, made the enemies easier to defeat, and then at Gamescom they had a version of that demo where they also tacked on a boss fight. And you could tell playing that demo, it felt tech demo. It didn't feel like the structure, the content of a final game.
It didn't feel fleshed out.
And then here you've got what is essentially the same areas of the game, with a little bit extra, but in the structure of the actual game. And there's more enemies. They're really quite difficult. The game's got some teeth. Like the enemies take a bit of time to bring down. It feels like a Dead
Space action game to me. Even down to the point where the synopsis of the game is that an AI has taken over this moon base, right, this space station, and is controlling all the robots. And you partner up with a android little girl who hasn't been affected by this AI takeover, who decides to help you by hacking the robots. And that's the core mechanic, right? Is that you have to do like a little puzzle game, little snake puzzle game to hack them while you're kind of stepping off and you're coming towards you and you've got to shoot them. But even down to on the Dead Space thing, down to the
you were going to say about limbs.
No, I wasn't going to say. I didn't even think about that.
Because the robots, you can't sever limbs, but if you shoot them, but if you shoot them in the knee, for instance, they'll go down. And because you're having to juggle hacking, shooting, slowing down enemies, and because a lot of the arenas are quite, a lot of the combat areas are quite tight.
It's very Resident Evil 4. It's very over the shoulder. It's very intense.
But controlling enemy movement is important. So shooting knees is really important.
Yeah. I was going to say they have these little pods just in the scenery, and sometimes a robot will jump out, and sometimes they won't if you go past them.
I didn't notice that.
Which is a very Dead Space thing where they have the vents to kind of keep the tense feeling of it.
It's like Doom.
But even down to so in this we kind of got to see a bit of the gameplay loop, which is you'll find these items that you can use to upgrade stuff, right?
Yeah.
And then you can go back to a hub, like your little shelter.
You get a tram.
Is that what it is?
That's the conceit. Is like, so I guess the idea is you'll unlock various stages as you go through the game. And when it's time to go to, I don't know.
But it's like your little hardy house.
Yeah.
And you can go back there and you can use these items that you find to upgrade your hacking or your gun or your armour.
And I get the impression there's going to be a lot of guns.
Oh,
so
yeah.
The idea is
nice. By the way, they feel nice. Yeah. This feels like a game that's made by the people who made it. Like Resident Evil 4, the remake just now, is a phenomenal action game.
Yeah.
Like, even if they have just taken that framework and gone, let's apply it to this sci-fi game, it feels great. Like, that shotgun is a top tier video game shotgun, right? But it just there's so much like kind of hints at the depth there. Like they've added narrative, where it's in a
Little
cliche
holograms.
way, like holograms,
Yeah,
and you'll
yeah.
see what's happening on. But it makes the world more interesting. Whereas before, people were like, "Is this a Mega Man game?" Because it was so simple, right? Spaceman on space station shoots robots.
I think I can
Whereas
still see it.
There's a little bit. There's a kind of suggestion that there's more narrative in there now, right? And you can find relics around the space station and take them back and decide to give them to Diane.
Weird, like
and,
social Mass Effect, because
and she's learning. I mean, it's a cliche, the android learning about humanity, right? But she's learning about what Earth is like, and it's really beautifully done. Anyone who's a father as well,
it's
like it tugs at the heartstrings.
It's strange, like it's such a weird mix of things, and I'm baffled a bit by, because I was saying this to someone, I was like, and I guess this is what I would encourage people listening to think about, is I think at preview, broadly speaking, with media, I think you only get maybe 2, as a game's PR, unless you're a massive game that people can't ignore, you only, broadly speaking, get two punts at hands-on. And so ironically, Capcom sort of has burned through its 2 punts on these weird tech demo-y, half the features of the game are not in it demos. And I worry, how many people this week, I mean, there's not that many media here, but if this was a bigger, if this is at the next PAX, how many media are going to turn down this appointment? And influencers, because they're like, I played it, it's quite simple, I know what it's about. And actually, anyone who hasn't played this demo does not know what the game is about. And it's but yeah, the loop,
the vibe doesn't feel good, does it? I mean, obviously we get to see, I mean, it's difficult to tell these days, right? Because the biggest games now, no one sees them coming, right? All of last year's biggest games, your Power Worlds and your Helldivers, if you said that you saw that coming, you're a liar. Within that context, we see what's popular with the audience, we deal with audiences, we speak to press all the time, we have earlier access with stuff. It doesn't feel like many people are excited about that game. It's just me.
I think it's going to be a cult. It's going to be a cult classic. Now the thing about Capcom cult classics is every now and then you get a Dead Rising and one breaks out. But for every Dead Rising, there's like 5 or 6 Lost Planets. So, or Kunitsugami's indeed. That was a great cult classic. So we will see.
Wrath.
That is a fucking all-timer. That is probably my number 2 biggest. I would love to give that an RE Engine remaster, deluxe remaster like Dead Rising. I would want Dead Rising 2 before I'd want that, but as always, Wrath is definitely number 2 for me on that front.
So what did you see at Sega? Obviously we went to their, I always wanted to go to the Sega pre-TGS party, right? I've seen it on social media.
Yes.
It looks like good fun, right?
It was good.
Sega they really embrace their nostalgia now, don't they? Their heritage. They're all about it.
How weird.
I've been to their HQ here. It's full of Mega Drive stuff.
But how
and there's
weird.
an Outrun in there and a Super Hang-On. And they had like a DJ in a Sonic and Knuckles. Like they had DJs lined up, right? With track lists.
Famous DJs.
We're going to do Atlas music, and then we're going to do Mega Drive music, and then we're going to do Sonic music. And there's people there who are employees and people who are past employees. You got like, last year Yu Suzuki would be walking around. And
only thing I was disappointed in is if they're going to have DJ sets and you're Sega, you have Yozo Koshiro come in and do a DJ set. And although they played some of his music, they played some of the Shinobi music, some of the Streets of Rage music, he loves to DJ. So I was a bit disappointed that he wasn't actually one of the DJs. What I will say is, on the topic of what you were saying of nostalgia, it's fascinating to me how, and you wouldn't get this with Nintendo, how Sega's nostalgia is also internationalised. So at the end of that party, they had their big thing and they let off all the confetti and all that shit, and all the screens said, "Welcome to the next level," which is the US Genesis advertising campaign. That was never on telly in Japan. And yet, they've embraced that to the point that was their big messaging beat for the end of their party.
I think that, I mean, if I'm going to get my crystal ball out here, I think Capcom are entering a challenging second phase of their golden era, right? They've enjoyed a unmatched run for the last 7-8 years, right? Since RE2 remake. I personally think they've been the number one third-party publisher during that period.
Yeah.
The next challenge is obviously, especially, not just talent, but also on the game front, is that they have to now kind of do something a bit different. They can't carry on, doing
Pragmata, they're trying.
They've got plenty more Resident Evil remakes to come, and it'll keep paying the bills. But even on stuff like talent acquisition, like keeping your talent, it kind of like, I mean, this year, in one day, last month, I went to Clover's, which is Kamiya-san's studio, and I went to Lightspeed, which is Itsuno-san's studio, who the famous Dragon's Dogma Devil May Cry director, and he just announced at the time that he's hired a whole bunch of other, Devil May Cry veterans, and it was kind of stark seeing, like, because maybe you can speak to this because you've always been more connected to Capcom than me, but it felt stark, like, oh wow, there are a load of ex-people, like ex-Capcom studios popping up, and it kind of like, it resonated because it Tsuno kind of said to me, well, I realised that if I stay there, I'm going to be making Devil May Cry and Dragon's Dogma forever, and I don't want to do that.
So here's what I'd say. I think this is actually Capcom's cycle. Every 15 years or so, Capcom sheds its skin a bit. And if you look back, they actually did it like early on in the 80s, and then they did it again in the 90s, which is how you get, or the late 90s, early 2000s, which is how you get Platinum. You get Mikami Go, you get Kamiya Go. And now there's a third time.
That's fair, yeah.
But what I'd say is that obviously the previous 2 times that has happened, there has been a dip in Capcom off the back of that. However, if there's ever a time for your old talent to move a bit, it's now, in the sense that who's the biggest departures of Capcom in the last, let's go back even a bit further, 6-7 years, in the modern Capcom being, like, Itsuno's gone, Yoshinori Ono went.
Who's the American Devil May Cry producer? I remember him. He went, didn't he?
I can't remember his name.
You know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, I want to say Michael, but that's
that felt
taken.
notable at the time.
Yeah, he was Matt Walker, and yeah, all that is notable. But and also actually Peter Fabiano, who was the English speaking American producer on Resident Evil. Everyone will know him because he gets his head chopped off and his head rolls towards you in the Resident Evil 7 kitchen demo and the tape in the game. But I think they're quite well positioned. So the way I think about it, I'm a Street Fighter fan, right? So I look at it from this perspective, is like, from the Street Fighter artwork perspective, Bengus, who has gone off to work with Itsuno, has been a tremendously important part of Street Fighter artwork history. Although Bengus was really defining in Street Fighter 5's artwork, and then had sort of handed most of it off on 6. And so him leaving has not really impacted. And so when we talk about Capcom, it's like, I do agree they're facing a difficult time in terms of they have had some turnover, and I think the most difficult issue is they've got to sort Monster Hunter Rise out.
Yeah, 100%. That's what they're going to be all hands on deck
That's
for
a
right
problem.
now, right?
Although that game is not unsuccessful. That game broke all the
successful.
records.
Everything's in context, right?
It's just the shocker has been...
That game, the fall-off has been stark.
The fall-off has been normal, but the fall-off was not normal for Monster Hunter World.
No.
And so they were hoping for that Monster Hunter World legs again. It didn't happen.
And I think, how much... I mean, I think there's kind of other elements to that, about the cycle thing as well. I wonder, not many people who don't, kind of have inside knowledge and deal with Capcom, kind of aware that it's a family business.
Yes. Yeah.
Like the Sugimoto's, Ryozo is in charge
Ryozo's
of all
now
of
the
their
boss of
development now. The president, the chairman are his brother and his father. And there is, I always get I mean, no one's ever said this to me, but you always get a sense and you wonder that if you're at Capcom for 30 years, at what point do you reach a ceiling because you're not, part of the family?
I mean, it's an interesting question, but the one thing I'd say is that the one thing that cannot be said about those guys is that Ryozo knows fucking video games.
Yes, he does.
He knows what he's talking about.
Lovely man as well,
He
right?
loves games. He's brilliant. Yeah. And so...
there's absolutely... the nepotism thing, he's very, very good.
I think he would
rise...
rise...
They are very, very successful.
I think he would rise to the top at whatever...
Yeah.
And obviously, what other award do you give someone after they produce Monster Hunter World than to eventually elevate them to be in charge of the whole studio?
I mean, they started that business. I mean, we're business owners. It's their business, right? I mean, he is very good at his job. I totally agree. Coming back to the original point, though, because we've digressed like we do.
Yes.
I feel like Sega's coming into that now.
Sega, to me, feels like they're in the position now that Capcom was in, like, 2016 or thereabouts.
And I'm trying
to remember when Resident Evil.
It was
when RE7 came out, but
RE7 is 17.
Because RE7 is sort of the turning point.
Yeah, like 17.
So sort of what I'm waiting for from Sega is that RE7 turning point, because the one thing that Sega lacks...
Maybe it's metaphor, right? I mean, it's every game of the year, kind of award show had that up there. I mean, it's just won Best Japan Game here. I feel like you look at their output this year, and it really did start to turn my head. Do you know what? Because they always had Yakuza, right? Yeah. It was always steady. It sells 1 or 2 million copies, but for them, that's sustainable.
It's decent.
They scale to the audience that they're aiming for, right? And then they'd have occasionally they'd have an Atlas kind of breakout thing, and then they'd have their Western stuff. But this year, because this is a long plan, right? They've got in their IP business. They're doing what Nintendo's been doing, and they're really going right now. We're an IP business. We're going to do movies and merchandise, and we're going to have games that support that, and they're all going to link in. Sonic makes more than $1 billion a year just from merchandise, right? It's a big deal. They've got in this guy, Justin Scarponi, who was at the party the other night I interviewed last year, who is a former kind of Disney executive, and he's heading that up. That's where you're seeing stuff now, they're reviving all the old IP. They're bringing all the IP. There's a Sega store here, right? They're really going all in. And so this is, just from that context, it's the start of that kind of long journey anyway. But the bit that turned my head this year was the games they had come out, where you had the usual Yakuza, Yakuza Pirates in Hawaii, right? Shinobi.
Good.
5 out of 5.
Yeah, really good.
They've landed. That's a difficult... I didn't think that was anywhere near a sure thing, bringing back this IP. 5 out of 5. Sonic Racing Crossworlds.
Really good.
It's better than Mario Kart.
Yes, I agree.
It's fantastic. And then that's on top of, right? This is the thing that they have that Capcom does not have. Sega have their Western business is arguably bigger.
Well, Football Manager's going to be...
You're at the part and you got, hey, there's a Football Manager guys, right? There's Creative Assembly.
Yeah.
It's, they have this big business in the West, and it feels like they're more set up for that. Whereas with Capcom, it always felt like they're still very much kind of feeding into Japan. And
yeah, it's. I don't know, because at Sega, you are right, but I do feel like there's almost this... At Sega, they did the same thing Square Enix did to some degree, which is there was a period of time where they did try mingling those businesses, the West and the East, more, and that's how you ended up with Sega racing games being made in the UK. And then eventually they decided they wanted a separation of church and state. So Sega does have a really strong Western business. It's like I never personally understood, I don't think any of the acquisitions are particularly good, but I never personally understood why Microsoft wanted to go after Bethesda and Activision, when really the smart play probably would have been to get one of those two
100%.
and Sega.
Yeah, they don't complement each other.
Because Sega's PC stuff and JRPG stuff and stuff would have all filled in a bunch of gaps.
It's like, they've got Doom, and they've got Halo, but then they've got Call of Duty, and now they're irrelevant.
Well, is it any surprise they don't want Perfect Dark either? This is the point, right?
It seems like they didn't really help each other, right?
They've got another 6 immersive sims that don't sell already.
So
Anyway.
I was at Capcom yesterday. I had some other bits and bobs for some other projects, but I've not kind of gone to see the other stuff yet. Have you done anything else?
I walked around the show floor. Annapurna's stuff, they've got 3 really interesting games.
I'm going to see those today.
Got a turn-based musical game, sort of vaguely gives Brutal Legend vibes.
They're not embargoed, are they? Because I've already broken one of those this week. Well, they're definitely announced.
Yeah, they're definitely announced. But anyway, that sort of gives me Brutal Legend vibes. It's a JRPG style game, turn-based RPG, but all the party members are different styles of music. So one's a DJ, one's a singer, one's like a metalhead guitarist, and all their moves are based off their genres of music. And there's mechanics within the combat about when the style of music of a given turn matches up to the style of music that the party member has, they get a bonus. So was that. There was a really nice puzzle game about like a guy in a utopian or dystopian society called Detopia, where that was just interesting. It's like nice, intriguing, sweetly delivered indie game narrative, and then it cuts to some cool puzzles that I really enjoyed, and then a Zelda-esque, very much Wind Waker inspired.
Made by 2 people.
I didn't realise it. So I didn't realise that was the case. So
they had it on their, I think one of their previous live streams. They had they didn't announce the game. They kind of announced the team and the project, and it was two guys who met each other online and quit their jobs. And said
it's super cute. Like it's clearly got a ways to go, but it's nice. So I saw those guys. Like I said, I popped over to Sega. So I played Persona 3 on Switch. Runs great. Run like fine. Checking that out because you never know with Atlas performance-wise, but seems fine to me. So I played that, and Sega's booth was a bit weird because they mostly had Sonic. I don't know. I don't know if Yakuza 3 is playable.
They've got a big like Yakuza kind of Kabukicho gate, haven't they?
Yeah. But I don't know if that is playable or if they just teased it.
I've honestly been on the show floor probably about 20 minutes. So I walked around. I
just wanted to walk around.
They've got an amazing Astrobot on the PlayStation.
Yes,
booth.
I saw it. Yeah.
Astrobot kind of diorama with the statues and stuff, and they blink and they move. It's so cool. I just wanted to like jump in.
I'm sure they'll be commandeering that for the office. But yeah, no, and I popped to Square, had a look at Dragon Quest 1, 2. But again, comes back to what we were saying about TGS as a whole. Being here, this is a really good show. There's a lot of people out here. It's a great opportunity to catch up with people, interview people. A lot of that stuff that I've done and you've done, we can't talk about either for a bit or in some cases ever, where you're just getting background on what's going on. But it's not a show for announcements.
It's not.
And so most of it, it's like Sega, the arrangement was just sort of like peek behind the curtain. Like UKPR was just like, we'll put your name on a list, and then if you show up to our stand,
just turn up.
They'll find you on the list, and you just tell them what you want to go on, and they take you to go on. So that's what I did. So I played Persona 3, I played Persona 5, whatever that mobile spin-off is called, I forget. It's not Strikers, because that was the other thing. Or is it Strikers? Phantom X? I don't know. I played that. And yeah, it was much more. Whereas Capcom is the one company where they've got a lot of games coming out, and they're all at a place where they're playable. So Capcom was like, come and play Pragmata, come and play Resident Evil on Switch, come and play Monster Hunter Stories 2, and
please don't break our embargo.
And please don't break, which you've already ruined
Do
that.
you know one thing I notice about this that gives me old school E3 vibes? There's a lot of tat at TGS, isn't there?
Oh yes.
A lot of people trying to give you some like free tat. What kind of free tat have you got so far?
Well, I don't tend to pick it up because at the end of the day,
but
I take it home and my wife says,
you're in Japan, you're going to buy by their rules, by their culture, you want to be polite.
No.
When you have a meeting,
you're
not going to go, no, mate.
I've got a Persona 3 ruler.
A Persona 3 ruler?
Yeah, it also came with like a
protractor,
some art cards, and I literally put those in the bin in the hotel room before I came down. Put them in the recycling. The ruler I'll keep because my little girl will use that, I imagine. But
the maid must think.
Capcom
when the maid comes into my room, right? I've got a load of the dating game Love and Deep Space. I've got loads of like art cards of like pretend men. Really like good-looking men.
It's Capcom gave some. There was a little standy figure of a Monster Hunter thing. There was some folders. Yeah, there was.
What is the Japanese obsession with folders?
They love folders. Yeah.
Just a folder to put your document in.
But hey, you go 5 minutes up the road there to the Capcom store. That folder is probably £10.
100%. Right behind us is the big Parco building, with the Nintendo store, Sega store, Capcom store. They will be selling folders.
But I was going to say the big difference, cultural difference, is if you to be fair, yesterday was a business day, but if this was Gamescom had a business day, or PAX had business hours, and you had people standing on the edge of a booth trying to give out goodie bags, people would be swarming around them and basically physically assaulting them to get them. Whereas in Japan, everyone's walking past. These people are desperate. Please take my bag full of tat, please. And Annapurna gave me some stickers, which again, having a little kid, they don't know what's on the stickers. They'll just go, I've stuck something on something, I'm happy now. So those get taken home. But yeah, there is a lot of stuff. They do have the attitude of you want to. The other thing I noticed is it's not a very British thing or American thing, but in the handful of back of house meetings I had, a lot of people taking meetings with devs and bringing them gifts.
Yeah. Yeah, I noticed that.
I like,
and to be like, gifting culture is big here, and it took me a long time to realise that through embarrassment.
Yes.
Basically.
Yeah.
Through the embarrassment of turning up
without
to
something.
social meetings and stuff, and people would always bring you really thoughtful gifts, like not just, yeah, mate, I've got some stickers. It'd be something like, oh, I looked at your name in Japanese means this, and I got you this, and so. Actually, a lot of the time when I'm coming here for business, my suitcase is genuinely half full.
Yeah.
Of, like, I'll
That's
bring,
different
like, our
though.
books and
If you're going for dinner with someone, you take
Cadbury
them a gift.
chocolate and, yeah. But I wouldn't do that in the UK.
Yeah. But if you're turning up at the stand for an interview,
Yeah,
I find
100%. But I think a lot of that we saw is there without naming names. I think there were a lot of enthusiasts, kind of writers from different regions that would, to them, it's a great honour that they get to go and see, the maker of their game, and they've been
weird.
affording.
The lines always get a bit. But then again, that gifting culture is exactly why you go to Capcom to do an interview, and as you're walking out, an Onimusha branded bag is thrust into your hands, which has.
Someone brought the
something in it.
While I was there, someone brought the Resident Evil Requiem director a what could only be described as a very thick, lavish robe, dressing gown.
Wow.
I think 2 actually. I'm sure there were 2.
Wow. His and hers.
Yes.
That's fair enough. Yeah, someone had given some guys some really expensive, like, Dubai chocolate. And I knew it on sight. I was like, that's like 50 quid's worth of chocolate.
The Dubai chocolate.
Yeah.
The the search engine kind of optimization mission from the Emirates.
Yeah,
allegedly.
Let's not get into that.
Yeah.
But
don't search for Dubai chocolate.
It reminds me of, I don't know who it was who tweeted like, I don't know, it was so pleased to see that Borderlands 4 has got the unique systems balance of the previous games. Google Randy Pitchford USB to find out more. And I saw that and I pissed myself laughing.
Well, I think on that note, I think it's all over from here in Tokyo.
It's a good show. I'm impressed. That's what to finish on a nicer note. It's a good show. I'm impressed. It feels like Japan. Like I don't know about you, but I've come here and I've finished and I've been like, yeah, I'll come back next year.
Yeah, if I can, absolutely.
Depends on the game slate a bit. Depends on the game slate a bit, but I think it's worth the money to get out here, to experience the show, see what the Japanese industry is doing. I think the lack of Britain is fascinating. Thus, messaging Christopher Drink about it. It's just saying like,
don't get him here, mate.
But that's his wheelhouse, right? Yeah. that's his wheelhouse. Where I look at that and I'm like, what the fuck is going on with the UK government and with Yuki and the UK trade mission? That
I mean, they had a trade mission to Bit Summit, which is the indie festival in Kyoto.
There's any fucking money in that.
They had. I don't really know what the decision is, but the thinking is behind that decision. They had like a one-day event at the expo that's going on, the World Expo in Osaka as well.
Yeah, but that's not really video games, is it? It's just sort of, But it's just.
But it's also, if you dig deeper as well, is that really you look into that scene, is that a lot of it is expats as well.
Oh yeah. But I just find it weird this week that like there's a great big Germany stand in the public area with like 50 German indie games on it. A bit like at Gamescom in the business area where the country has paid for a stand. And then they've invited indies and they've all got one pod
and they're promoting
each.
their industry, yeah.
But ultimately, they're promoting their industry.
We all think, I mean, not just picking...
Italy's got one as well, France has got one.
Not just picking on UK, the UK government as a whole has done a bad job of promoting our industry, which was the envy of the world, 20, 30 years ago. How many games companies in the UK are owned, by British people now? But it's not very Japanese conversation, is it? We'll save that one for the British.
But no,
game
we
show.
should have been here, is what I'm saying. And
the British game show that doesn't exist.
But I bring back ECTS. But I think that the fact that I'm having that conversation with you, I'm bringing that up, speaks to how improved TGS is. Because I'm saying, God, why aren't we here? Whereas I never would have said that 5 years ago. I would have said,
you would have, don't
it's
come
a total
here.
waste of fucking money.
Yeah.
So it's a good show. Capcom's good. Sega's good.
Japan good.
Japan good. Square Enix got a bit of work
Game's
to do,
good.
but they're going to get there. Konami weird. Because all their games are out, so it was a big presence. But obviously, well, they're not. Is Silent Hill out now? Yes.
It came out yesterday, I believe.
So they're obviously showing off games that are out. I think the question is what's next now. But
I think they announced Metal Gear Solid Collection 2.
oh, did they?
They sort of mentioned, they had a stage talk, and they meant like.
I know that they had a poll where they were like,
said it's in
"What
production.
Metal Gear Solid would you like to be remade?"
Just
next?
the absolute scenes when that collection is like Acid 2.
Well, that collection is going to be a load of bullshit, but the only thing that people want is 4.
Yeah.
Because 4's not
Are they
playing.
going to get it? Seems like a lot of work.
I think it'll be
there's,
4.
I think there's probably a very good reason that there are a lot of PS3 era games that are not on modern platforms. So you can't play Infamous, for example. They're landlocked. It's difficult.
Metal Gear, Metal Gear, they've got to strip all that shit out. Metal Gear, they've got to strip out iPods and all the licensed stuff.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks so much. Like, subscribe. Thanks to all of our Patreon backers, especially our lovely season ticket holders, of whom I can't name because I do not have a list with me. But this is where they scroll across the bottom of the screen because I've got Jordan to work at a weekend and make it happen. Yes, thanks very much. See you next time. Read the website. Bye.
Bye-bye.
CS, SC Ginger, Silas DeVagerstein, Justin Keeling, Vicious, Tanner Santos, Matthew Tate, Bilbo Bag Saggins, iMark, Moroccan Lamb, Serkan Toto, Dealbreaker J, Lee Jackson, Tom Chapman, Martimus Prime, Ryan Cobain, Sam Biggs, Hugh Overend, Ginger Jotun, Mark Edmonds, and finally James Hughes. Arigato